There was another special election yesterday, this one in Ohio's 12th district. And as of just minutes ago, the race still officially too close to call, although the Republican candidate in the official results is ahead by about 1,700 votes. But this is still massive, massive news, and the Republicans are trying to downplay it. But the big news wouldn't be that the Republican won if the Republican does end up winning by the current count of, like I said, 1,700 votes. The news is the Republican didn't win easily because this is a hugely, massively red district, 87% white district that hasn't had a Democratic representative since 1983, 35 years ago, before I was born, and certainly before Pat was born, and in total has had only one Democratic representative dating all the way back to 1939. 79 years you have to go back for the second Democratic representative in Ohio's 12th district. And more impressively, only one of the last 41 terms were held by a Democrat. Of course, when you consider the number of terms that the Republicans have served compared to the Democrats, you have to go back to 1939, not just for the second Democrat to control this district, to be the representative for this district, but just for the second term during which the seat was filled by a Democrat. As I mentioned, the voting results as of very, very recently, just hours ago, 1,700 votes separating Republican Troy Balderson from Democrat Danny O'Connor. And as of right now, even if the Republican ekes out this victory, whether it's 1,700 votes or 2,200 or 1,300, pending a recount, absentee ballots that still have to be counted, as well as provisional ballots, this is a red flag for Republicans in November. Does this mean Republicans need to assume Democrats have it in the bag? No. Does this mean Democratic voters can stay home because Democrats are just going to kill it in November? Absolutely and totally not. Does this mean that if something big happens, like Trump invading Iran, Republicans can't have massive gains because of those bogus talking points, like you can't switch horses midstream when it comes to military engagements? No, all of that stuff can happen. But what it does mean is that this is a big change of direction in a massively red district. Republicans had to spend millions in this race to eke out what is maybe a 1,700 vote victory. You had here a race that Donald Trump won this district easily. Mitt Romney won this district easily, and it was so tight that Trump personally went to Ohio to campaign for the Republican over the last few days, and still we have the possibility that the Democrat could win, although not hugely likely based on the number of votes. This is very bad news for Republicans, cautiously, potentially good news for Democrats, but I don't want a single Democrat in any district thinking it's okay to stay home because of these results.
Right, because past performance isn't necessarily indicative of future results.
Sure.
So maybe the best attitude we can have when it comes to this is just to treat all races as if they're 50-50. Like,
Absolutely.
we do have a shot at winning this, but you have to go out and vote. You can't rest on your laurels.
According to the Cook Political Report, there are right now, of the 435 House seats, all of which, of course, are up for re-election, there are 68 seats that are currently held by Republicans that are more in favor of Democrats than Ohio's 12th district. Democrats need 23 seats in the House, a net gain of 23, to take control of the House. And 68 Republican seats right now have better numbers for the Democratic candidate than the Ohio 12th congressional district. That is maybe part of, if we had to come up with, like, is there anything good about Trump being in the White House? There's very little good about it, right? If there's anything that we can say might be a positive side effect of Trump being in the White House, it's that it's created a little bit of space for some progressive ideas to be floated around. And it turns out that a lot of those ideas are really popular, and more popular with Republicans than maybe we were pretending for a very long time. There's new polling which points out that a federal jobs guarantee has more than 50% support nationally. That means that there are Republicans who support it. Community job creation programs, more than 50% of the country supports it. Government producing generic pharmaceutical drugs, more than half the country supports it. A public internet utility, basic health care services for all. Every single one of those ideas has higher than 50% support, sometimes way higher than 50% support. And one advantage, I would say the one advantage to Trump in the White House has been that some Democrats, especially some of the more progressive candidates, have decided to just say the things that they're for, when before they might have been more posturing and coy and calculating politically. Not that that's a good thing, but it's good that they're now actually saying these are things that I'm for. And what we are finding is that among moderate Republicans, some of these ideas are actually relatively popular. So it's a good sign for Democrats in the fall. It's not a good sign for Republicans, but nothing is guaranteed. And I think Pat's idea of consider every seat 50-50. If you think about it as it's 80% chance that the Republican wins, you might stay home. If you think about it as it's 80% chance that the Democrat wins, you also might stay home. Think of every race as 50-50. Nothing is guaranteed. Get out there. And in the context of looking at data to figure out what might be happening in the midterms, there's one other big piece of news from last night, which is that for the first time ever, voters have blocked one of those horrible right-to-work laws that was passed by Republicans. It's massive, and that's what I want to talk about next.